Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more 9-Rip, continuing Hibiki's route. So, upon opening the classroom door, I found someone unexpected. Oh my god, my headphones were really loud. Yui? I'm sorry. I heard from Korea that Hibiki came to this world, and sorry, I hope it happened over here, and seeing Hibiki's surprise, she looked directly at him and knelt down quietly. I want to take my father's place. Please take out all your hatred on me. No, you can't do that, Yui. If you do, please be silent. This is what I must do. But, no, this is all wrong. Besides, there's no way that Hibiki would go along with that. Kinda fucked up if he did, but now I'm kinda concerned. At least, that's what I wanted to believe, but when I turned to look at him... You take his place? Yes. He was my father. It was my fault my father became the monster he did. I disappeared of my own volition, and... He's not going to reject her? Seeing Hibiki's face struggle with the choice in front of him, I quickly took his hand. I'm sorry, Yui. We'll have to discuss this another time. I understand. This feels dangerous. I pulled him along as we left. After that, Hibiki gave me permission, and the two of us entered the mirror world together. Phew, that was close. I should probably keep the two of them separated for now. Hibiki, you can't take Yui up on her offer. Seeing Hibiki still in a daze, I called out to him with a firm tone. Making a child pay for the sins of their parent, that's wrong, okay? I understand, but... Finally, Hibiki turned his eyes to look at me. His face was contorted in pain. I know she didn't do anything wrong, but if she could take his place, if she could make me feel better, maybe I could cross over and you could finally go home. For me? My head, which had been flustered until now, quickly calmed down. It was clear his love for me was immeasurable. I thought I knew that already, but I also think the way he loves me is wrong. It wasn't just that he was putting me first. I was the only thing he was thinking about, which wasn't right either. I'm happy to know you're thinking about me, but you must not hurt her, okay? It's not right to hurt someone innocent to try and protect the person you love. You'll be no different than Isao Tsukigami. I immediately held my tongue. I didn't say his full name, but... He cast his gaze downward. I couldn't see his expression. However, I felt something dark coming from him. Me? That man... the same? No, I didn't mean... Oh, he's mad. Then what did you mean? He then reached his hand toward me. He gripped me so tightly that I couldn't breathe. I want to cross over. I want you to go home. To do that, I have to find some way to let go of all this anger. What other way is there? I have to wait hundreds of years before Isao Tsukigami gets out of hell. His eyes were filled with rage, and yet I could see tears welling up within them. It's all right. The darkness hasn't taken him yet. Perhaps seeing the pain in my face, Hibiki quickly let go of me. Well, I began coughing once I was able to breathe again. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. I shouldn't have said... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What did I do to you? Just calm down, Hibiki. I'm all right. Spacey, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of what I might do. I don't want to hurt anybody. I want you to be able to go home. But I don't know what to do. Before it all seemed so simple. I would just wait for Isao Tsukigami to get out, but that doesn't seem right anymore. What should I do? I don't know anymore. I couldn't help but wrap my arms around him. What could I possibly say to him after that? I'm sorry. He was so confused about what to do, and all I did was blame him for being tempted by Yui's offer. I really am so foolish. Hibiki, I really am sorry. Hibiki trembled in my arms, and I held him tightly close to me until he stopped crying. I resolved to hold him close. 3 years later, I'm just kidding. I brought Hibiki, who had calmed down a bit, to sit down on the bed. I'm going to talk to Yui. It wasn't right to just leave her like that. Then, just as I was about to leave his side, he grabbed me by the sleeve of my uniform. Please, don't go anywhere just yet. If you were to leave now, I might start to think too much and I might go off the rails again. I silently sat down next to Hibiki. I took his hand and squeezed it. He doesn't need to think about anything. Maybe it's just best to let him stay in a daze. In that case, Hibiki, I'm feeling a little tired. Do you mind if I take a rest here? Huh? Not waiting for his reply, I laid down. It's a little embarrassing, but if I do this, neither of us will have to think about anything right now. Then I pulled Hibiki's hand, too. Oh. It's kind of a pretty CG. Spacey, this is... It makes things feel a little better to just lay like this, right? His cheeks flushed red. I'm sure I'm blushing, too. He's, actually really pretty in this CG. Now that you mention it, this is the first time I've laid down in a long time. Ghosts don't sleep or get tired, so... Sleeping next to someone puts your heart at ease. At least that's what my mom told me when I was little. So I wanted to sleep next to you like this, Hibiki. That makes me happy. And I'm glad you chose me. Who else would I choose? I told you before I love you, Hibiki. He's like, Kureha, and you're like, yeah. Or Seiya, yeah. Yeah, you did, huh? Hibiki's face turned even redder, causing a smile to spread across my face. Seeing him embarrassed like this made him look even cuter, and my love for him overflowed from deep inside me. I love you too. I know you do. Hibiki's gaze, his words, they all made my chest tighten. And yet, it all feels so comfortable. I don't want to think about anything right now. I just want to stay like this. Is that okay? Hibiki nodded in response. Thank you. Before, when I got so upset at you, you were still so kind to me. That made me really happy. That won't change. No matter what happens, Hibiki, I whispered to him that I'd love him no matter what. So don't worry, and trust me. I'm so happy. It's been so long since someone has talked to me like that. Actually, it's the first time anyone's ever said that to me. My heart doesn't beat anymore, and yet I feel like my heart's pounding when I'm with you. It's like I'm alive again. When I'm with you, I forget that I'm a ghost. That's how deeply you've affected me. I smiled gently at Hibiki's words, but gradually found myself growing sleepy. Whether it was because I was lying down or because I felt safe next to him, I think it's the same for both of us. Good night, Spacey. You can sleep as long as you like. As I was wrapped in his soothing voice, I drifted off to sleep and never woke up again. It was like this, the black screen's there for a long time. When I awoke, I was all alone. Hibiki? When I called out to him, I heard footsteps, and soon his face peeped through the door. Uh, actually, Seiya is here. Oh, is that right? I quickly got up and fixed my hair and uniform before saying hello. You're looking well. Yeah, no major changes to report. Seiya's expression went from relieved to cheerful. It seems as though he really does care about me. He's kind of a sweetheart, it seems. Like, you just cute. I mean, you're a little crazy because you're like, I just lock her in here, and which is insane, but like, it's okay. And I mean, you're like, I would keep her here because like, I just want to possess you. I mean, I'm not opposed to that if you're going to get like a little possessive, but like, you actually seem kind of like a little bit of a marshmallow, so like, I'm into it. I don't know. I mean, the man could be an absolute douche canoe, and I'd still be into it, is all I'm saying. He's gorgeous, so whatever way he goes, I'm like, I love it. I'm simple, man. You've shown me character art, and I'm like, that one? I don't think there has ever been that one that I've eyeball fallen in love with instantaneously, that I've ever been like, you know what? They're the worst and I hate them now. I think I've always been like, yeah, I mean, they're not the best character, but I'll tolerate it. Seriously? These games make me stupid. I think it's because I've been trying to get to sleep before the drowsiness and headaches set in. In that case, please do that moving forward. And by the way, Hibiki told me everything about what he's been feeling. I straightened my posture and approached Seiya. Do you have any ideas? I worry if Hibiki stays like this. It's up to Hibiki to find a way to free himself from these lingering regrets. I created the mirror world and committed only to keep watch over his future. Well, that was my initial intention, at least. Does that mean things have changed? But seeing you and Hibiki, I've been inspired by what one may call the power of love, and it's given me a few ideas. But, okay, it's because you pay special attention to Hibiki. Because otherwise it's kind of like, you didn't seem to feel this way when I was in love with Kureha. What the fuck? I had to get a magic book to let me see him. You didn't even give a fuck then. But obviously, like, we can't have him be getting involved with every single part, because then that would be very repetitive, and you'd be like, oh, here comes Seiya again to give us magic, whatever, and okay. And it'd be like the same plot ending, kind of. But, And also, Kureha and Seiya have really nothing to do with each other, but... Actually, I'm not sure they ever met before when we first met Seiya. I think that was Kureha's first meeting of him, too. The power of love. That seems like a bit much, right? Hibiki, just hang on a minute. So in other words, Seiya, are you offering to help us? Given your situation, our time is limited, so I'll keep this short. Hibiki, would you like to meet Isao Tsukigami? As a general rule, crossing over is a personal issue, so I haven't mentioned it until now, but I would very much like to ensure she returns home safely, so I decided to bring it up now. Thank you, but can Hibiki really leave him so easily? Also, I don't want Hibiki to cross over. That would be so sad. Like, there's probably going to be an ending very similar in all of the routes where we kind of end up dead and we stay with our love interest. I'm going to guess that's the heavenly route. Because, in all of them, I would hope. You know what I mean? So that we can actually, we're together. Because it's still bittersweet. It works for me. But it's still a little bittersweet because your friends and your family have no idea what happened to you. Right? So that kind of sucks. But, and then the other ending, at least with Kureha, it was like, oh, this is kind of sad, but at least we can see him. And I thought that until my kitten said it was like, his endings were also among the bittersweet ones, though most of them fall into that category. Okay. And then he had bittersweet endings get more satisfying routes than the next. I mean, right, because isn't there already a fan disc? Do we have this conversation? Listen, none of these have posted yet, so, To be fair, this is why sometimes when we get to this point, I'm like, did I ask this question? Did you guys tell me? And someone's going to be like, I told you 6 times. You haven't seen any of these yet. None of them have gone up yet, okay? To be fair, we're not even at the point, like, I'm actually, like, really getting ahead right now, which is, like, so awesome for once. It's going to fall apart come January, but, maybe. Depends on how far I keep in advance. But you still haven't even seen the little mini demo playthrough we're doing in between Cupid parasiting this one. That hasn't even posted yet. Like, dude. Like, it's still October for me. It's not even Halloween. Like, you know. Although, to be fair, like, Hibiki's route. What are we only on? Is this the 4th or 5th hour? I'm not sure. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Him crossing over would be, like, sad because you would never see him again. Because even if he crossed over and was reborn or something, it's like, yeah, you're 16 years older than him. You're not, you're going to be like, oh, there he is. I saw him at the park one day when I was 20 and I just knew it was him. But, like, that's your boy. Like, that's horrible. You can't be together. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's depressing. Anyway, easily. Of course not. Even with my position as Grand Warder, I had to twist a lot of arms. I had to fight like hell to get this approved. I see. Hibiki, meeting Isao Tsukigami. I honestly had no idea if it would be something good or bad for him. What does Hibiki think about it? When I looked over at Hibiki, he stood silently, his mouth agape with shock. It's just not possible. This is all so sudden. Okay. Oh, this is for affection? We smile at Hibiki, 100%. There's no way you're gonna, like, let me ask Seiya a question. That's ignoring Hibiki. There are 2 options here. Pay attention to your boyfriend, or ignore him and pay attention to the other hot man in the room. As much as I want to pay attention to the other hot man in the room, I know that we should pay attention to our boyfriend, so. Yeah, smile at Hibiki. Okay. Hibiki... I called out his name and flashed him a smile to get him to look my way. You don't have to answer right away. You know that, right? Right. Sorry. I guess I'm just a little surprised. Thank you. I don't need an answer right away, and it seems as though Hibiki is having trouble making up his mind. I'll return again later. Unless they have him, like, oh, his spirit, like, crosses over, but then, like, there's some kid in a coma who is basically, and they're like, yeah, that kid would be dead, but he's kept alive by machines, but we can put Hibiki's soul into him, and then now that kid's alive, but then they're going to be like, oh, Johnny, you're alive! And he's like, yeah, Johnny, sure, I have amnesia now, because, like, and then he knows who he is, and, like, whatever, and then, like, and then if they did something like that, you're like, okay, he's like Hibiki, but he's not Hibiki, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, totes cool. But, like, or if they did some kind of ending where he crosses over and then you're like, you know, I lived my life, blah, 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 and then I died, and then they show, like, how, you know, you lived your life until you got to be an old lady and then died, you know, and then you're both reborn at the same time so you can finally be together both in your next life. Then I suppose I could accept that. But, like, you going on with your life while he gets reborn somewhere else or just goes into the after. That's just, I don't know, that's more tragic than the fucking Kureha ending, you know what I mean? Like, at least you got to see your boyfriend then, you know? Anyway. I don't need an answer right away, and it seems as though Hibiki is having trouble making up his mind. I'll return again later. I don't know if I read that. Lots of dog barking outside. And just to remind you, this visit will occur under strict supervision, so don't think you'll be able to do anything to him. Once Seiya finished speaking, he began to shimmer and fade out of the nurse's office. I mean, he literally just tweaked out. Hibiki... Sorry, I just need a little time to think on my own. With that, Hibiki spat out of the nurse's office. I want to follow after him, but Hibiki said he wanted to think alone, and I wanted to respect his wishes. I wonder what he's going to decide. I can't even, like, read a book because all the books are fucking backwards. So you're like, I'm just gonna sit here and wait. Alone with my suffering, I wandered the halls of the mirror world. I could meet him, talk to him. No way. There's just no way. I wanted revenge on Isao Tsukigami. That alone had kept me in this world. But maybe if you could see how he's being tortured in hell, you're like, yeah, alright, cool. That's good enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, because you, in theory, you as a person, like, okay, a normal person, not Hibiki, right? If you're the person who tormented you or whatever, you were like, yeah, they're being tortured in hell. That's just to satisfy yourself and make yourself believe it, because you don't know that they're really being tortured in hell. You have no proof that heaven and hell exist. You know, that's just to satisfy yourself and go, yeah, that makes me feel better if I imagine that they're going to be tortured in hell for all eternity. Cool. You know what I mean? But Hibiki has been to hell. Hibiki has gone through that shit, not nearly as bad. So he can at least go, yeah, if Seiya is saying Isao Tsukigami is being tortured in hell for centuries, yeah, it makes sense. I believe it. You know what I mean? So that has not been enough for him. It's not like it's no, I want to make him suffer. As soon as he gets out, I'm going to snuff him out. You know what I mean? But what happens if Isao Tsukigami's soul disappears being tortured in hell? Which was actually a theme. I'm noticing, like, when they're talking about certain things, some of these things you're like, yeah, actually in Tengoku Struggle, they kind of mention that, like, you know, you're tortured and then you basically die and you're reborn in hell every day, like your soul. And then eventually, like, you just, well, not every day, but, like, they made it seem kind of like that or whatever. But there could be a point where your soul just doesn't regenerate and you just snuff out of existence because the torture you're going through in hell is just too much. You know what I mean? So, like, that's a possibility. You know what I mean? Like, Seiya might pop up and be like, so, I know you were looking forward to when Isao Tsukigami got back here, so you could snuff him. But he's never coming back. He's gone. Like that. We tortured him too much. You know what I mean? And then what would Hibiki do? You know what I mean? His whole entire existence right now is just fueled on this revenge. Like, someday he'll get here and I'll snuff him out. Cool. I'm just gonna wait for that. So, like, you know? So I don't know if seeing Isao Tsukigami and being able to talk to him would do anything. Like, I mean, there's a possibility, because, like, the base level would be him seeing him and seeing him being tortured and then being like, good, cool, he's being tortured and it's awful and that's good enough for me. He can imagine that right now because he, you know what I mean? Like, you as a person, if you just thought in your head right now of somebody that tortured you being tortured to death, you're like, yeah, tortured in hell. It's not the same because, again, you don't know that that exists. But if somebody popped up and was like, you want to go see him being tortured in hell? And then you saw them being tortured in hell, that puts a whole different perspective and spin on it. You know what I mean? For you to be able to accept. Hibiki can imagine what's happening, knows what's happening. It hasn't been enough for him, so I don't think seeing Isao would be enough. Unless Isao Tsukigami's gonna, all of us, when he sees him, it's gonna be, oh my god, what I did to you, and I'm so sorry, and I can't believe I did this, and I've realized and I deserve this torture, and blah, blah, blah. And then Hibiki, like, forgives him. And it's that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? That's the only way I could see it actually doing anything for him. Like, to help him, is that he realizes, you know what, he's being tortured. It's not up to me to punish him. He's getting the punishment, and actually, like, you know, Isao realizes that he lost his mind and everything he did to save his daughter was insane, but he was desperate and he lost his mind and he regrets everything and, like, whatever, and he, like, genuinely is kind of repenting for everything he did, you know? Even if he's like, I would do it again because I wanted to get my daughter back, even though I know it's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But that's the only way I could see this going. Because otherwise, again, Hibiki could just be like, oh, I know he's being tortured in hell. And that would be good enough. So seeing it, you know, talking to him is only, and seeing him is only gonna do anything for him if they go the forgiveness kind of arc thing. So, But then I also don't want Hibiki to then be like, yeah, I'm good, and then fucking cross over. So, like, concerned of where you're going. But at the same time, they seem to like to go a certain way and then wildly veer off. Because, I mean, okay, based on Kureha's route, right? Because you were like, Kureha gave his soul to you so that you wouldn't die. And then you're like, the fuck? And he was going to disappear. And you were like, hell no! And then you basically, like, kissed him, and then then he stayed a ghost and you died. And it was like, huh! Like, because I was like, oh, hell no, this isn't supposed to be a good ending where I live and he disappears. But that would be the same thing this. I live and Hibiki disappears because he crosses over. Fuck that shit. That's not a good, you know what I mean? So they're gonna, like, head this direction and then take a wild left turn, but I hope. But I still don't know if I trust the game yet. We've only played one route, you know? Anyway, that alone, it kept me in this world. That's right. That's right. What even is there to decide? Hibiki... The thought of killing Isao Tsukigami was what kept me going. But now I had to think about helping Spacey get home. If I wanted to help her get home, should I meet Isao Tsukigami? But if I meet him, there was no way to know for sure if it would ease my regrets. Conversely, it could have made them worse. It might have made my regrets even stronger. I've got to have a strong heart. I had changed so much since I met her. I could leave the mirror world. I could talk to other ghosts. She's made me so much stronger. So now, the most important thing to me was... The most precious person to me was... Spacey. I have to be strong. For you. When I was alive, no matter how bad things got, I always tried to be strong. But now that I was dead, I felt that for the first time. I was strong. Sorry. No, that was perfect because she sighed, I yawned. Same difference. Unable to sit still in the nurse's office, I decided to head to the library. It wasn't like I could read the books here, but it's just really kind of fucking bizarre how I was like, well, it's not even like you can read a book because they're backwards, and yet the bitch still goes to the library and says the same thing that I said like 5 minutes ago, and I don't like you reading my mind game. Or the game's very predictable. I'm not really sure. At least on simple fronts like this, you know? Like, she's predictable. Which is not a bad thing. I'm not being like, oh god, she's so predictable, but I was like, damn, it's like I'm saying, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that, and then she does it, and I'm like, you know, that's fucking weird. I wonder what Hibiki's doing now. I'm sorry. I gotta yawn again. Oh, dear God, guys, I'm so sorry. Taking the book he recommended to me, I began flipping through the pages. It's been exactly mirrored. I don't think this will be very easy to read. Since I had nothing to do while I waited for him, I wanted to read more of the book Hibiki liked. I wanted to know everything about him. I can't help but want to learn more. I wanted to know what he was thinking right now. But when I pushed too far before, I ended up hurting him. I said he was like Isao Tsukigami. Considering what that man had done to Hibiki, that was a truly terrible thing to say. With everything he's been through, I'm not qualified to judge him. I mean, it was a terrible thing to say, but it was also sorta true in a way, to be fair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not exactly, but it's like your thought process is similar to his thought process. Your actions are different, but like, you do realize that you're both on the same train of thought, and that's why you want to do it, and that's why he did what he did. So, like, if you think he's so awful for what he did, you should not be thinking and putting your mind on the same track as his. You know what I'm saying? So, like, no! Being like, I want to take revenge on the person who, like, in essence, murdered me or caused me to kill myself. Yeah, I mean, that's different than, like, I'm going to murder people to bring my daughter back. But... you know what I mean? Like, so, like, she was kind of wrong to be like, you're exactly like him. No, but your thought process is very similar to his, so I'm just saying, pull it back, boy, you know? But there's really no way to say that politely without it coming out wrong, to be fair, so. And if I were to get emotional and hurt him with my words... Here you are. Hibiki... When he suddenly appeared, he had an unexpectedly calm look on his face. What are you doing here? I thought I'd try reading the book you recommended to me. The puzzled look on his face disappeared, and he smiled at my words. But it's all backwards, right? It must be really hard for you to read. Especially, I feel like it'd be hard enough trying, like, in my brain right now, I'm trying to, like, think of reading English backwards. And you're like, but you can figure it out. You know what I mean? You're like, okay. But, like, how much harder would it be to read Japanese fucking backwards? Holy shit. I mean, it's maybe because I don't know how to read, like, kanji or anything, but I suppose if you knew how to read kanji, maybe it would be the same for you to be like, for someone who doesn't, like, read English to be like, what? Reading English backwards would be bonkers. Because English is a stupid language, let's be real. But you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like, if you know multiple languages, like your primary language that you've known most or not all of your life, you'd be like, yeah, it would be easy. It'd be difficult to read it backwards, but a hell of a lot easier than your second language or something. You know what I mean? But, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I can't get all the nuance exactly, but I can understand the general feeling of the text. I'm interested in the story, but I also wanted to learn more about what you like, Hibiki. That makes me really happy, but I want you to read it with all the nuance intact, so please read it when you go back to your world. Gently, Hibiki took the book from my hand and placed it back on the shelf. When I go back? Wanting to know what he meant by that, I continued to stare at his profile. I want you to read the whole thing, so I have to find a way to send you back. He continued speaking without hesitation, or I could just go to the other side then of the mirror world, like the red world, and, read it then. I don't have to be in the mirror world to read it. I'm just saying. That's why I'm going to speak to Isao Tsukigami. Honestly, I have no idea if it's going to make me feel any better. I've been thinking back to everything that's happened to me so far. I have no idea what it's going to be like to see him. But instead of just wanting to hurt him, I wonder if it might be better to talk to him and to try and be brave. Ever since I met you, I feel as though I've gotten a lot stronger. So, I think I'll be okay. Thank you. I don't know why, but I ended up thanking him. Thank you, Hibiki, for deciding to meet and talk with him. Thank you. My vision blurred slightly, and I realized that tears were filling up in my eyes. I don't know what else I can say to express this feeling to him. You don't have to cry for me. No matter how many times you do it, I always feel overwhelmed by it. I nodded and took his hand. I couldn't find any words to say to him, and I worried that if I spoke, I'd just end up crying. I'm so hard to stifle that yawn. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. To prepare for what was to come, I went back to the nurse's office to rest again. Seiya appeared. You've made up your mind, haven't you? Yes, I don't know what'll happen, but the willingness to try something in which the result is uncertain is all I was seeking. Upon hearing Hibiki's intentions, Seiya flashed a faint smile. Then, well then, let us descend into hell. Seiya placed something that looked like a smartphone into his hands and began typing, pointing to the empty space. Whoa! Suddenly all the hair on my body stood up straight. Huh. The room is changing. The air in the room grew faint and my heart beat faster. Hibiki seemed to feel the same thing, and his body began to tremble. I am connecting us to hell. Please wait one moment, Hibiki. You can wait somewhere else if you like. Would it be okay if I went along too? Knowing how filled with anxiety Hibiki must have been, I wanted to stay with him if at all possible. Normally I'd ask you to refrain from doing so, Hell can be quite oppressive, and Hibiki's mental and physical status is rather precarious. But you may end up being a stabilizing influence on Hibiki. So as long as we keep it under 30 minutes, it should be fine. Phew, thank you very much. But maybe you should stay back. I want you to come, but I'm still worried about you going down there. Trust me, it'll be a lot harder on me if I'm not there with you. That line's not fair. When you put it like that, there's no way I can leave you behind. So then, let's go together. But aside from the oppressive nature of the air, there aren't, like, demons or anything to worry about, right? Oh no, there are plenty of terrible things in hell to worry about. Oh. But there shouldn't be anyone like that in the place we're going today, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I see. If there was even the slightest chance of encountering non-humans, I wouldn't allow you to accompany us. Isn't he sweet? Thinking about it, it was just as Seiya said. I never thought I'd see hell while I was still alive. Life really could be unpredictable. Typically, we need to train to get from the real world to hell. But that's not possible from... Oh, need a train, sorry, to get from the real world to hell. But that's not possible from here. So I've secured use of an emergency elevator. I'll call it now. Suddenly a crack showed up in the nurse's office, and we found ourselves in total darkness. This will warp us to where we need to go. After you. Warp? Is it safe? Yes, of course. So it's more like a portal. Elevators don't warp to other floors. Not really, but like, I guess you could say that. Semantics. Don't worry. I'll be by your side. Come on, we can hold hands. Right. Thanks, Hibiki. His hand in mine, we gazed into the deep darkness. A warm, unsettling breeze began to blow. I was surrounded by darkness. Ooh. New background. I'm going to bet this comes into play when we're in Seiya's whatever section he's in. I felt a cold breeze pass through me. You know, it makes sense. This feeling... The air here was so much more oppressive than anything I had experienced at the school. My entire body immediately felt strained. Just when I thought I was going to pass out, I felt Hibiki prop me up. Are you all right? Thank you. The air here, it's so... I told you, didn't I? The oppressive nature of hell is unlike anything else. Please don't overdo it. I'm fine. I just need a little time to get used to it, that's all. With great difficulty, I stood up on my own, and Seiya followed along after us. Looking around, I saw an area filled with tall ceilings, decorated in a European style. Our time here is fairly limited, so I'm afraid I don't have time to give you a tour. Come this way. Follow me. We left the room and were ushered into a large hall. There I saw many people dressed like Seiya scurrying around the place, looking very busy. All these people work here. Seeing me looking all around the place, Hibiki called out to me. They're here to judge all the people that committed sin. Oh, that's me. They're here to judge all the people that committed sins before they died? That's right. Like Seiya, they're all people who died as well. Oh, so he was a person who died and then took over this job. Okay. All right, that's interesting. I don't think that was necessarily, like, part of the lore that we got in Tengoku Struggle, but you know what I mean. Well, that's true. I mean, Seiya's just, like, sort of based on that-ish. He's not really supposed to be, like, King Emma, whatever. It's, like, the lore of that. They're like, and then we're going to use that to kind of, sort of, you know, be Seiya, you know? So, like, urban legends and myths and things like that, and, like, spirit things, they've kind of adapted. So, okay, that's true. He's not supposed to be, like, a one-to-one. It's just that's the lore he was based on, so. Is that so? I can't imagine working, even after death. Well, you'd probably get bored after centuries. I couldn't help but wonder what Seiya and the others who worked here thought about their jobs. Also, I noticed you can kind of see, like, okay, Hibiki's got the bruise kind of around his neck, but that's because, obviously, he hung himself. I would guarantee if you saw Kureha without a shirt on, fail game for not giving us shirtless CGs, where he was stabbed, he would have had that bruise or whatever. That's like somehow. And like Seiya does have kind of one. I noticed before and I'm like, but like for being like someone in hell, like it's weird that he's kind of got the bruise on the side of his neck and face. Like his hair kind of covers it, but it's like, you know what I mean? You're like, that's odd, but now knowing that he's somebody that died, that's probably somehow related to his death, so. Hibiki's hand touched my shoulder. Seiya appeared to be talking to another staff member. Then, as though he had been prepped for this moment, a man was brought before us, shackles on his hands, feet, and neck. Hibiki, is that him? I don't know. I never saw his face. That's right. Hibiki was kidnapped and locked up without ever seeing the man's face, but he heard his voice. Perhaps he would remember him by his voice. As these thoughts passed through my mind, the man who was taken by staff came toward us.
Are you the young boy that wanted to speak to me?
As soon as the man began to speak, I saw Hibiki's whole body stiffen. So you can kind of see it on our right. Seiya's left, you know. This is Isao Tsukigami. I could feel Hibiki's presence change in the face of this man, wrapped in heavy chains. Isao Tsukigami, this diabolical maniac, large and strong enough to kidnap several people. I always imagined him as a terrifying man, and yet the man slumped in front of me was a slender man with a simple kind of elegance about him. He didn't look like the type of person who could be responsible for the death of children. Hibiki put his head in his own hands and began to sob.
I'm so sorry.
Huh? Isao Tsukigami fell to his knees. Well, to be more exact, his knees couldn't reach the ground. It was because of the massive amount of chains that bound him.
I'm so sorry. I regret everything from the bottom of my soul. I know that you can't possibly accept my apology. I know that, but please, I beg you to listen to this old man's words.
See, this is what I kind of figured they were going to go to, is he's going to realize that, like, everything he did was fucked up, and he wasn't in his right mind and all that. There was nothing frightening about him. His words, his voice. If anything, he looked rather pathetic. Hibiki closed his mouth. Without saying a word, he just stared at the man as he crawled on the ground.
I regret it, all of it. I stole your life. I stole it through the cruelest of means. Even though I did it for my daughter, I had gone mad, but what I did, for whatever the reason, it was unforgivable. I wanted nothing more than death. But the people in hell, they wouldn't grant me death.
Isao Tsukigami shall be punished by bearing his sins and reflecting upon them. That is the conclusion we reached.
After I leave here, I have no doubt I'll be attacked by the ghosts of the ones I killed. Yet I'm ready to bear any punishment. Rather, I beg for it. Someone like me should never ever be allowed to cross over.
Hibiki merely stood there with his mouth still closed in silence. No, that's not right. He can't just silently listen to this. Instead of showing how he really feels, he's just sitting there listening to this.
I'm sorry. I'm so very, very sorry.
It's nearly time for us to go. Hibiki, if you have something to say, now's the time. Isao Tsukigami crawled on the floor. It was as if to say he was ready to accept any punishment. Finally, Hibiki opened his mouth, but his voice sounded dry. Then he closed his mouth again. Hibiki, he was trying to say something, but it was clear the words would not come out. He was totally lost. Well then, this way. Wait! Without a doubt, if we left now, Hibiki would regret that he didn't say anything. As if to protect Hibiki, I stepped forward. If I don't do this... I didn't understand everything, but I wanted to speak for him, if only a little. Isao Tsukigami, Hibiki has experienced so many painful years since he died. He took his life because of what you did to him. As a result, he struggles with the darkness that's manifested in him. It got so bad there was even a moment where it seemed as though he was going to become a wraith. Tsukigami bowed so low that his nose nearly touched the floor, and yet I felt a bubbling rage well up inside me. I won't forgive you. Please don't talk about wanting to accept any punishment now. It's too late for that. Oh, we gonna turn into a right damn. Looking at him filled me with even more anger. I wanted him to know the sadness Hibiki felt at not being able to be happy. It wasn't something that happened directly to me, and yet I felt as though it was. Even if Hibiki were to forgive you, I won't. I'll never forgive you. And Seiya's over there like, damn. Hibiki, I'm definitely jealous. This girl feisty. No matter how many times you die here, how much pain you feel, it won't be enough. Isao Tsukigami just continued to tremble without saying a word. You've been touched by Hibiki, I see. Know that hatred is contagious. I truly despised Isao Tsukigami, and I knew Hibiki shared that feeling. Now, it's time for us to go. Seiya made a nod to his subordinates, who quickly took Tsukigami away. The man bowed his head deeply and was whisked away. It's gotta be hard in that situation because, like, you hate this person so much, but then you see the state that they're in, and he's not like, yeah, whatever, do it again, bitch. He's like, no, I know what I did. And you're like, I feel guilty because this is just a person who, and if you're a decent person, you're gonna be like, as much as I hate this fucker, like, and everything he did, he is just a person who is desperate to get his daughter back, and it doesn't excuse him or give him the right to do anything that he did, for sure. And it doesn't mean that he shouldn't be punished continuously, or, okay, he's done his penance. No, what he did is beyond that. You know what I mean? So, like, okay, he's getting his just desserts, and he deserves every second of it, but that doesn't mean you as a human being aren't going to be like, but I feel really bad, and I want to be like, okay, you know what? I have to let go of my hatred and my rage over this because it's not gonna lead me anywhere good. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, cause you somewhere in the back of your mind, you're like, this man lost his mind and he was angry and sad, and his anger at losing his daughter and her being taken away and his sadness over it and his grief and everything led him to do something as psychotic as abducting and murdering people. So, like, what's going to happen to me if I just stay angry and resentful and hateful to this person? Yeah, you know what? I don't want that shit. You know what I mean? Like, so somewhere in the back of your mind, you know, like, And, like, you could be like, I'll never forgive you. You suck. But it's not on me, whatever happens to you. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely people I feel that way about. Like, listen! If I don't ever care to know what happens to you. But at the end of days, if they're like, oh yeah, no, that person suffered, their life sucked, you'd be like, yeah, nah, good. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to know right now. I don't really give a fuck. But yeah, you know what? When I'm dead, I want to be like, what happened? Did they suffer? Tell me they suffered. And someone's going to go, yeah, they suffered. And I'll be like, good. You know what I mean? Because I'm a vengeful asshole. But, like, I'm not going to let it eat away at me because there's no point in that, you know? But I am going to be like, karmic justice. Hope you suffer and rot in hell, motherfucker, you know? But, like, Hibiki's situation's totally fucking different. You can totally fucking understand why in death he's been obsessed with this, you know? Because life and death are different. You know what I mean? Anyway. As for your return, simply wait right there. I'll take you back from whence we came. With that, Seiya turned to look at Hibiki. Hibiki, the next time you can speak to Tsukigami will be after he is released. No. Hibiki stared down at the floor and shook his head back and forth. It's all right. I don't have anything to say to him. Hibiki raised his head and our eyes met. Oh, he looked so happy. His giant fucking orby eyes. He doesn't have saucer eyes, but his irises are like saucers. You know what I mean? They're just enormous. His eyes were shining brightly, filled with a joy that looked as though it would overflow. She said everything I needed to say. And the fact that you said those words, it made me so happy. Hibiki, he took my hand and gently pulled me closer to him. You said all that for me. Thank you. I was a little surprised, but it made me so happy. It was like you knew everything I wanted to say. You understood my feelings completely. Well, in that case, that's good. I was glad I had the courage to tell Isao Tsukigami how I felt, or how Hibiki felt. How we felt, because we're one now. Tears were on Hibiki's cheek. Then on mine, too. I knew that if I gave in to these feelings even a little, I wouldn't be able to stop crying. My heart was so filled with emotions. Your understanding, being there for me, standing up for me, it all makes me so happy. He was crying so much he couldn't say any more. You're such a crybaby, Hibiki. Well, you're crying too, you know. Seiya gently put his hand on Hibiki's shoulder. Looks like you can cross over now. No. Right. With the mention of those words, Hibiki's face clouded over. Instantly, I could feel his emotions coming through his hands. Spacey, I love you. Actually, it's not so much I love you, it's that you're my everything. As his thoughts flowed into me, the space around us was distorted. Before I realized it, in an instant we had returned to the school in the mirror world. Seiya, he's gone. Only the two of us returned here. Anyway, what was that voice? Hibiki let go of my hand and wiped away his tears. Then his expression quickly brightened. Let's check to see if the flowers are colored in. Right. When I took the piece of paper out of my pocket, I saw that Hibiki's flower was... Oh, fuck. It's all colored in. That's great. Then you can go back home. I'm assuming this is kind of our end? Yeah, okay, this is our heavenly end double life. Double life, to me, that's my, like, you put Hibiki's soul in the body of some kid that died, but it was in a coma, and that kid's gone, his soul's gone, but then Hibiki's like, I have a double life because I know that I'm Hibiki, but I'm also Timmy, or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. In response to his unnaturally happy voice, I couldn't help but stay silent. That would be kind of sad, but still kind of pretty. Like, you're like, because then that family thinks that they have their son, even though their son's gone. But then Hibiki would be like, I have all his memories, so I know everything about this person, but I also remember who I was. So that would be a perfect, like, quote unquote, double life. I'm just saying. I'd be okay with that. That would be kind of happy. You know what I mean? In response to his unnaturally happy voice, I couldn't help but stay silent. The feelings I felt flowing from him earlier, his feeling was that of overflowing affection. I knew then just the extent of our feelings for one another. But it's not just that. He desires me with all his heart. He told me I'm his everything. Well, shall we go? Hibiki took me by the arm and began pulling me away. He grabbed me by my clothes. He can't cross over. I knew that. Hibiki... I wonder how you'll get back to your world. Hibiki, stop. For now, I think it's best if you leave the mirror world first, right? Hibiki... At the sound of my shout, he stopped. What is it? He didn't turn around to face me as he spoke. Please, listen to me. I freed my arm from his grasp and tried to take his hand. Don't touch me! With those words, he forcefully shook off my hand. If I do, I'll be able to see your feelings, and I'll see your new regret. I'll get to see what's still keeping you here, right? When we were touching before, I felt it. I felt how deeply you care about me. Hibiki dropped his hand with resignation and gave me a self-defeated smile. I really am the worst, showing you the side of me at the very end. Tell me, I want to know how you really feel. If you don't tell me, I can't go home. Still silent, I saw his face shift to a look of determination, and he took a step toward me. Well, we unlock a CG on our ending, so this could be it. Then he touched my cheek. Or, I don't know, we could get another one. If you really want to know, then I guess you should. I don't want you to leave. But don't worry about me. You should go home. Please don't go home. I want you to be happy. I want you to live the long, happy life you were supposed to. I want you to stay by my side forever. Hibiki's thoughts. I can feel them. I love how he's like, I want you to go and live a long, happy life. I really don't want you to go. I love how he's contradicting himself in his thoughts. The words he wanted to tell me and the words he felt were mixed together. I really thought he wanted to cross over. Him leaving this world, leaving me here alone, that was supposed to be my regret. You're lying. I want to know how you feel directly from you. Then, what about this? His face drew close to mine and I closed my eyes. Is he gonna kiss us again? We got another kissy CG. Oh, I love it. I felt the contrast of his cold lips against the warmth of mine, stealing the heat away. His expression as cold as ice, he spoke. I want to keep you locked up in this mirror. Between kisses, I felt his emotions in his voice. Staying here does seem wonderful. I wonder, that would kind of be similar to Kureha's, ending. Just the two of us, alone in this world. But if I stay, his love for me may drive him mad. I want everything from you. But if I leave, his despair might drive him mad. And I want to give you all of me. Our thoughts continued to intertwine and overflow. They crashed together, unstoppable. When our lips parted, we merely shared each other's breaths. Then the silence returned, and finally he spoke. Die for me. Your life. Give it all to me. I mean, that's kind of fucked up line, die for me. You're like, there's a, okay, listen. I know I'm the one who's like, I just want to die and stay with my ghost boyfriend. But there is something that almost scares you a little when he's like, die for me. And you're like, whoa. And you're like, actually, no, that's exactly what I want too. But it scares you. There's just that quick second of panic where you're like, whoa, psycho. And then you're like, nah, actually, that's probably the best ending. You know what I mean? Did you not have that little split second of panic? Oh, yeah, no, actually, that's what we want. Holy shit. Staring back at me was the Hibiki I knew and loved. His words were harsh and crass, but I knew that was how he truly felt. So, you were finally able to tell me how you feel, huh? I smiled naturally back at him, but I like how he's a little psychotic and he's like, I want to lock you in this mirror. I want you to die for me. And you're like, okay, we're gonna do it. It was too late to worry. We'd both gone mad for each other already. Hand in hand, the two of us headed to the front of the mirror. I feel like, thinking back on it, Isao once said to me, don't lock her in the mirror. So I guess it really is possible to lock a member of the living up here. But then again, maybe it's also possible for them to come and go too. In that case, even if you go back to your world, as long as I give you permission, you could come and go here if you pleased. Okay, that's interesting. So in this one, we're going to go back, but be able to slip into the mirror world? Okay. I really wanted us to die and stay with him. That's my best ending. I know it's still a little sad, but you know what I mean? So, like, if this is the heavenly end, which is usually, well, in Kureha's it was the we died and stayed with him. We get to be with him. This seems like it's more like the godly end of, like, Kureha's, where, like, we're gonna go back to life and then we just get to visit our ghost boyfriend. Or see him somehow, but he's still gonna be a ghost. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's true that Seiya created this world, but the logic's dictated by me. If our feelings are deep enough, maybe... No, definitely. It'll be alright. I feel like when he told you to die for him, you should have been like, alright. That's fucked up, but, I mean... Is that really okay? Of course it is. Besides, I really meant it when I said I wanted you to go and enjoy your life. I just hate having to be apart. Hibiki's fingers lovingly caressed my cheek. At first, my heart was stirred by the warmth of you, as a member of the living. But eventually, I fell in love with you. I know that even if I had the chance to touch another member of the living, they wouldn't drive me mad in the same way you do. His words, bordering on obsession, made my head spin. In a sense, the way he spoke made him sound crazy. It really does, but we're here for it. I'm not minding it. But I guess I'm the same. After all, I couldn't see myself with anyone else. Come visit me every day. Until you die. Always. And when you die, we'll be together forever. It's a promise. Together forever. Hibiki, I love you. And I love you, Spacey. Even though we were about to part ways, we smiled at each other. Proof we trusted each other from the bottom of our hearts. There was no need to be anxious anymore. After all, we'd be together forever. I mean, I figure we're getting our ending now, so there's no point in stopping, so I'm assuming this is the credit segment. But I don't know if we can skip the credits this time. I did. Yeah, okay. I don't know why in Kureha's it says, don't skip the credits! Maybe because you have to watch them at least once. With all the colors of the corpse flowers vivid on the page, I thought to myself, I want to go home. And in an instant, I was back. Then I immediately collapsed on the ground of the school. When someone found me, I was rushed to the hospital. In the time of the real world, I had been missing for 9 days. Makes sense. 9 rip, 9 lover, no, every 9 is very, My family was both happy to see me and upset I'd disappeared. Then, when I recovered, I left the hospital. After school, the halls dyed with the color of twilight. I walked alone. We're not going to hear kata kata this time. After checking to make sure nobody else was around, my hands reached out to the mirror. It's connected. Then I felt my hand being sucked into the mirror again. Just like before, it was like I was melting into a cool lake. Could you imagine going up and touching it and then you can't get in because it doesn't work? Like, how devastating! You're like, son of a bitch, our plans are foiled! Then I felt myself being pulled to the other side. Yeah, because the second your hand went through, he grabbed you. Oh, good. You made it. He hugged me, and I felt the familiar warmth of his embrace. So in the mirror world, you can feel him. It's not like... Okay, you know what? It's a little bit better than Kureha's, because Kureha's is kind of like you could see him, but you can't touch him because he's a ghost. But in Hibiki's, it's like, I'm alive, he's dead, but in the mirror world, we can touch each other. That's why... Okay, I mean, I get that why it's double life, but okay. I'm sorry it's been so long. Right after I got back, I know. I was right next to you the whole time. Huh? I actually left the mirror and went to go check in on you. Really? But that's outside the school. What about your fear of leaving the school? I guess I realized I'm a lot stronger than before. Besides, I don't have the darkness to worry about anymore either. Now that he mentioned it... Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. Recently, I've been hanging out with Kureha and the other ghosts. I guess it's my own way of moving forward. Really? That's amazing! Even though we decided not to cross over yet, it was nice to see Hibiki continuing to grow. But just because I'm able to watch over you, I don't think that means it's okay for you to skip visiting me, okay? Not being able to touch you like this, I think my emotions will get out of control again, so you better come visit me every day and every break. That might be a little tough. If people saw me entering the mirror, it would cause quite a fuss. In that case, I'll just have to lock you up in here forever and keep you away from all the noise outside. I'm okay with that. It's kind of scary how serious you sound. Huh? I am serious. Seeing him say those things with a straight face, I knew he was a little off. I mean, yeah! He's been a little bonkers since the moment we met him. He's thinking some scary stuff. I should make sure to visit him often so he doesn't turn those thoughts into plans. But I also wanted to see him. But if you stay in this mirror even after I graduate, what are we going to do then? It's not like strangers can just waltz into the school whenever they want. That's a tough one. We'll have to talk with Seiya about that. Speaking of Seiya, he got on my case for not crossing over even after you went back. I can totally picture that. By the way, seems like you really struggled with that pop quiz today. Hey, you don't have to watch over me that closely. And so the two of us talked casually, laughing as we did so. It's getting late. I should get home before my family starts to worry, especially since you disappeared recently, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, I could hang out in the mirror until they cool down too. I had quite the strange double life now, but I didn't mind, as long as I was with him. This place in the mirror was Hibiki and my own happy little world. Phrasing was odd, but... Oh, that's basically it. Okay. Alright. Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm okay with that ending, because we get to be him and you can actually touch him and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but if that's the best ending, I'm very concerned about... Well, because, like, the godly end is kind of... The reason I still can't cross over is because of you, you know. Being unable to cross over for such a happy reason. I might be the only ghost like that. I'll be waiting in the mirror tomorrow, too. You have to come, okay? I love you with all my heart. I love how they have that little thing at the beginning or whatnot. But it makes me kind of worry because, like, oh right, this game is brilliant. We just can go back and forth. See, like, look how adorable he is. He's like, huh? And then he does this and he gets a little crazy-eyed. So it's like the second you met him and he touched your hand, he got a little cray-cray. Girl. She's like, he's a little strange and he's a little off. Yeah! He's been off since this moment. But you know what I mean? Like, Kureha's heavenly end was we died and we got to stay with him. And his godly end, which wasn't as good, although, like, Otome Kitten flipped them because she liked that one better, was... Oh, wait, I don't know if there was another version of that. Yeah, there was. Look at his psycho eyes! He's a little psycho! You know what I mean? And this! Again, girl! He's had psycho moments. Have you not seen his eyes and the way his, like, irises and pupils look? You know? And then he's a sad sack. It's a crazy sad sack. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate Hibiki. Between him and Kureha, I absolutely love Kureha most. Like, no question. Kureha's way more my type. But Hibiki's route was still good. You know what I mean? Like, it was still really good and I still liked him. So seeing that thing on Twitter where somebody was like, oh my god, he's just pathetic and white. It's like, yeah, he can be a little pathetic, but it didn't bother me. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Well, I'll see in like 5 years when this goes... You know what I mean? But, like, yeah, he was a little, like, but it's understandable and, like, that's his character. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Because, like, I don't know. And I kind of think I like the fact that he's a little bit of, a pathetic little sad sack, but then he gets a little psycho? You're like, I don't know. Like, that's, you don't expect that. You're like, oh, it's the happy-go-lucky guys that turn psycho instead of, like, I'm, like, sad and pathetic, and then I'll kill the right that's trying to hurt. And you're like, dude... I don't know, I feel like I can't think of a character we've had that's been, like, a little depressed sad sack that then turns into a psycho a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, we've had characters that are like nice and sweet and then turn psycho or whatever, but I don't know if we've had a sad sack one. At least not in a while that I can recall off the top of my head. So it's kind of refreshing, to be fair. You know, but yeah, it's just, this was his best, and then Kureha's not as good was we go back and then we are kind of with him, but not really. So I'm kind of concerned about, like, Hibiki's, like, are we gonna... Because, I mean, I guess, to be fair, we could end up dying in that ending. You know what I mean? So now we're back to the beginning. Like, this one's pretty. This one's adorable. Look at his... He's so adorable in this, though. You know what I mean? Like, she's super fucking pretty. Like, good job on her. I like her cute little hair, and, like, she has the giant saucer eyes, but they're done well, because they're, like... In this, she doesn't have, like, stupid saucer eyes. They're gigantic, but, like... They're gigantic, but they're sultry right now. Like, she's just looking at him with, like, this love in her... You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty giant eyes. So, like, they work. I got so sad. And then, like... And, like, that's usually... Okay, that is her wide, surprised look. Totally fine. That's usually the kind of saucer eyes we get on characters. And that's their normal fucking, like, straight face look. Okay, we'll stick with this one, because I think this is the prettiest. Like, between the two of them, and he looks a little happy and everything, and he's not, like, beautifully crying. You know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess, like... Logically, this is probably, out of the three endings we've gotten, in a way, the quote-unquote best, because we get to live our life, but now we can hop in the mirror and actually have physical contact with our ghost boyfriend. You know, whereas Kureha's heavenly ending was we died and we could be with him, but that, to most people, would be like, well, that's kind of tragic because your friends and your family are sad. So yes, I could agree with that. And then in Kureha's, I think it was his godly ending, you get to move on with your life and you make that wish to the book and you get to see Kureha, but you can never touch him. You know what I mean? So, like, they're both kind of bittersweet and sad, you know? We're like, okay, we either have to leave behind our friends and family and they have no idea what happened to us, sad for them, but we get to be with Kureha, good. Or will we go back to life, but we can never touch Kureha again? Yeah, luckily we got to see him. And we can see him whenever we want, but we can't touch each other. And so Hibiki's is like, we get to go back to life. Yay, our friends and family aren't sad, and we can pop through the mirror and hang out and touch our boyfriend. You know what I mean? We can kiss and hold hands. So, like, you can have that physical contact. So technically, this would be the best out of the three endings. Kureha's still my favorite, but I do agree that he got the short end of the stick so far. You know what I mean? I'm perfectly fine with the dying and we stay with our boyfriend, even though logistically I know that that's tragic. But, like, whatever. So I'm curious if, like, maybe Hibiki's godly ending is, like, we die, because that wouldn't be, obviously, to most people, as good as getting to stay with our, you know, getting this type of a thing. But anyway, we will finish up Hibiki's other endings in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.